Our guest today at the Ultimate Landscape CEO podcast is Donn Vidosh Jr., owner of Vidosch North in Petoskey, Michigan. He's going to do close to 10 million this year, maybe over, and very interesting gentleman, a very quiet leader. I've known him for many years. He's been a member of our peer groups for quite a while. Our community started off slow, quiet, checking things out, and really has taken off in quite a great way. And when you listen to the podcast, you're going to understand really the foundation that has helped Donn become so successful. The sports he did in high school and college, and everything he learned about team building and leadership has impacted his company in such a positive manner. He almost became a professional fly fisherman, someone who would be a guide. And then he decided to get back into landscaping. His dad was in landscape, as you will learn. And he got into the field, picking rocks initially, and then he got out of the field, and you'll learn about that. He has really diversified his services. He has some unique services that helps him create a competitive advantage that's really driven the growth of his company. He'll talk about capacity planning and profit sharing. We've helped many of our clients do profit sharing, and he's, no stranger to that. He's done a great job driving profit up very, very high in his business. I always tell people you can hit 20% in residential, and a lot of people don't believe me, but I think Donn is proof that high profit, high growth is possible. He's had some family challenges. I won't spill the beans here. Listen, and you'll hear about how he's dealt with them. And I think a lot of us in this industry deal with family challenges as entrepreneurs and balancing the family, the spouse, your business, and he'll talk about that. And of course, he still loves his outdoor hobbies. He spends quite a bit of time bow hunting and fly fishing. You're going to love listening to Donn Vidosh Jr. Here we go. Donn, welcome to the show.
Jeffrey.
So introduce yourself, please, to the audience.
My name is Donn Vidosh. I'm here in Petoskey, Michigan. I run a landscape multidisciplinary company, was what I would call it. We're roughly 50% design build. We've got a few other divisions that we've added on over the years at your under your tutelage, I will say. We've got garden service, which for us is maintenance. We've got custom welding and fabricating, turf and plant health, and we got a great team going right now. We're about 63 employees here in 2024, and our target's 10 million for this year.
Yeah, you've been crushing it. You've been one of the higher both growth and profit companies in our community.
Well, that's why I joined the peer group. To be honest, it was 6-7 years ago now. We were, kind of muddling through things at what I would call kind of a mediocre profit margin. I was not very well in tune with our numbers. I knew I needed some help and joined one of your peer groups. And honestly, that combined with, a lot of hard work, and I'll say maybe even some good economic factors and local factors, we've really enjoyed a lot of success over the last handful of years here.
You really have become one of the leaders in the group. I think when you talk, people listen. And was it always that way in your life? Were you always a natural leader, or did that develop over time?
I think I'm the kind of person when something's on my mind, it's really hard for me to keep it bottled up. And I try and speak from the heart. And I think that has resonated with some of my team members here at Vidosch North. And I'm very passionate about this industry, about landscaping and the art of it. I've become very passionate about, building people within our team up. That's become something that's, really given me a lot of fulfillment more recently. Um, so have I always been a leader? I don't know. I guess I'd say I am what I am, but maybe some people would say that. Yes, sir.
You know, I was reading your profile before we got on here, and I didn't realize that lacrosse was such a big part of your, I don't know, childhood, growing up, high school, and college. You know, I'm from the Northeast, where lacrosse is a big thing, and you, I guess, went to school in the Northeast or New York. Uh, were you? How did that impact you? How did how do you how does that live today in what you do, whatever you learned in these championships that you earned in lacrosse?
That's right, Jeffrey. I went to Brother Rice High School and had some great coaching and mentors there that allowed me to succeed. And then on to Syracuse University. Same great coaches, mentors there. Won a couple national championships in college. And yeah, team sports certainly shaped me in very positive ways. And I would say, no doubt, that is the way that I run my company. A lot like I saw great coaches run our really great teams. Um, and I think it served our company really well.
So, give an example where it lives today, like something you do that you know you picked up in your youth.
Well, I think the most basic one is lead by example, right? I'm not going to ask someone else to do something that I'm not willing to do. If I expect other people to be here on time, early, ready for work, then I'm going to show up on time, early, ready for work. Um, all of the things that you learn in team sports for me have been very valuable. And when I see people come in with sports backgrounds or military backgrounds, especially because it's that same spirit of teamwork, those people really appeal to me to add to our team.
Okay, how'd you get started? Your family. I know your family's in the industry. In fact, Don, you're the only person where I've had a sibling on a podcast as well, and uh, your sister's really dynamic. A little bit of competition for you there, but uh, tell me how you got started and maybe a bit about the family.
It's no
Impact.
competition. I support my twin sister um, fully and love her. And I'm so proud of what she's doing with Retreat and with her tree brokering business. She's such a hard worker, such a driver. So proud of what she's doing. Her podcast with you was excellent. If the listeners haven't heard it, I really suggest they go check it out. But how did I start? I started as a rock picker. Okay. I was 10, 12 years old. I think, to hear my story, you can't understand it without understanding the story of my father, right? My father started Vidosch landscaping and trucking with his brother in 1965. And they grew their business. It was a small residential company, and they were focusing on sod installations at residential homes. And they expanded the trucking, really started to focus on more commercial work in the 80s. And that company really exploded in the 80s. My dad ended up merging with another company, and that business got up to $20 million. I was just a little tyke, riding in the car, listening, sitting in on all these meetings. And I remember at the time, I felt inconvenienced about it, to be honest. I was a little kid and I would have rather been fishing or hunting or playing with my buddies. But I think a lot now about all that time that I spent sitting next to him in a Coney Island or, in all those meetings. And I really picked up a lot in those days. I really did. And I'm really thankful for it. Um, I've worked, I'd say almost every position in my company. Um, there's a lot of people here now that do those positions better than I ever did it. I will say, admittedly, and I'm thankful for that. But I've worked a lot of different spots in this green industry, and with that same spirit of I'll be the first man in the hole to start digging, or uh, I, we're always trying to grow and learn new things. And honestly, that's why I joined the peer group. And that's why I'm a avid podcast listener. Really enjoy yours. In fact, I remember a number of years ago sitting in a peer group meeting with you saying, I think you should start a podcast. Do you recall
I do.
that?
Yeah.
And look at it now, man. It's amazing what you're doing. I said at that time that there's nobody in our industry doing a great job of this. And I got to give you big kudos because you took the ball and you really run with it, and you're bringing great content to all of us who are just hungry for this information. So great job.
I appreciate that. Thanks. So, so how did you get? So, all right. So you grew up on your dad's knee or whatever. He probably put you in the side seat next to him,
Yes, sir.
listening. But you didn't start right away. You're not the guy who started mowing in high school and either skipped college or paid for college with his mowing company. You did it a little differently.
That's right. I was playing sports in all those years and coming back home in the summertime and working for my father. And as I was coming out of college, I had this kind of fork in the road where I had to decide: am I going to, go up, move up north where we are in Petoskey and work for him, or am I going to go out west and be a fly fishing guide? Because that's kind of what I wanted to do at the time. I said, well, I'll give it a try. I worked for him for a few years as a salesperson. And then around that 2010 time period, he was going through some tough economic times with the business. And he had auctioned off his last couple pieces of equipment. And I took all the money I had. I had maybe $20,000 in my bank account that I had saved over the years. And I bought one track loader, one 1-ton dump truck, and one used trailer. That was all used equipment, kind of toward the end of its life, I'd say, even, and purchased those things. And I said, well, I'll give this a try. If it doesn't work, I can always move out west still and become a fly fishing guide, hunting guide, whatever. I knew I could fall back on that, and I would have been really happy in that life, to be honest. So we went for it. And that first year, we did $1 million in revenue.
Wait, so I got a little confused. So after school, you worked for your dad, but then you also were a ski bum. When did you come back to start the business?
I was running those in parallel, actually. While I was working for him, I was fly fishing, guiding, and teaching snowboarding. And then there was just a point where it was kind of get after it or choose not to, and went all in, and it's paid off.
And so you started when he was closing down his business?
I started my business before that, actually. I was doing some moonlighting, hanging Christmas lights, maybe doing little inside enhancement jobs that the company didn't want to pursue, little things like that for neighbors, things like that. And, learned a lot of lessons in those early years about what not to do. Learned a lot of lessons all along the way, right? Like we all have to get to this point now.
Okay. So you did $1 million. What was that? 15 years ago?
It would have been about that. Yes, sir. 14.
I was going to say that's a lot of money, but that's a lot of money for the first year, especially back then.
Well, I was single. I had, no children, and had all the bandwidth in the world to focus on chasing down anything to stay alive another day. Because that's what it was back then. Stay alive another day,
Okay. So you started off in design build, and I guess you said after you met me, you started differentiating. And so what percentage is design build now?
DB in 2023 was 49%. This year, it looks like it's going to shake out to about 45%. We've really been trying to grow our garden service division, our irrigation, or what we would call landscape utilities, which for us is irrigation, lighting, and audio. These are higher margin divisions for us, typically, than design build. So the things that we've bolted onto the company are traditionally higher margin than DB. DB can be very lucrative at times, but I like these recurring service businesses that we've been adding on because not only are they stabilizing us in somewhat fluctuating economic conditions, they're also helping to buoy the profitability of the company year over year.
I was wondering what you meant by utilities. What
Yes,
percent,
sir.
now we know, what
Yeah.
percentage revenue is that in your business?
Landscape utilities is 13%,
Okay.
but growing fast.
What's the fastest, or is it all the same?
Landscape utilities has been our fastest growing division.
Within utilities, you said irrigation, lighting.
Irrigation, lighting, audio, a little bit of drainage.
So what are any one of those the superstars in that?
I mean, lighting is a great business. We found lighting to be a real star here.
Yeah.
High profit. It's one of those services when you do it too. We just did a little install at my house. When you do it, you come home when the job is done, and it's like immediate gratification for the client. And I just had this experience myself and was reminded. It's one of those things when you come home that first day, it just makes you happy. And
I am totally with you. When I moved down to New Orleans, I finally kind of had my dream landscape. And the company we hired, we didn't ask for lighting. They just gave us I'm going to make it up, but like a 20-point plan. It just came with the design. And I chose like 15 of the 20 points. It was immediate joy.
definitely. I think audio can be that way as well. You get home that first day. I remember you had the audio system down in New Orleans, and it's just, how can you not be excited about that when it's done, right?
I think it's something that we don't always think about. The buyer doesn't. But if you can get a way for your client to experience it, they're going to want it.
Oh, yeah. I would totally agree. We've got demo kits we even set up for lighting and audio where we can go out and set up a little demo, small area, corner of the property maybe, and show somebody just what this could be. And when you set up the demo, it's really good chances you can sell that project.
So you do many of the typical, and even these utilities are not outside the norm, but you do fabrication. That's definitely outside the norm. What is that?
So we started our custom welding and fabricating division because I was really having trouble filling that service through subcontracting. That's the way a lot of these services have come and become added to the company is, hey, I'm really having trouble finding a sub to do this. Or we're starting to invest a large percentage into these subs. So how can we bring that money in-house? Okay. But custom welding and fab was one of those things. In addition to the fact that we were able to now fill a need that we had, it's allowed us to broaden the way that we design within the design build department. So if we want to make a custom fence, or if we want to make a custom arbor, or if we need any special little part and piece, bracket, hanger, anything like that within our landscape installations, the custom welding and fab division has really been very helpful for our design build.
Would you say it's sort of a standalone and or a big money maker, or is it part of the overall hook?
It's for us, it's part of the overall hook. I'm not going to say that one has been a total grand slam like lighting, audio, etc.
Was it a double or a single?
I call it a single.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would call it a single. It solves so many problems for us, even just beyond the custom ability to make anything that we need to. When we have an issue here within the business, say a part we need that we can't get quickly, well, now I got a team that can make it.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's really valuable.
Is it part of your sales process? Like, do you highlight it as an advantage to working with your company, or do your clients not really care?
I wouldn't say it's something we necessarily highlight. Certainly, we would in the design process because we can now deliver a design that someone else is not necessarily capable of, or we can do it more quickly.
Yeah. Or you can do a design that they can't necessarily shop around.
For sure, no doubt.
I like that.
That really wasn't the intention, but it's definitely a benefit.
Yeah. So give us a couple mistakes you've made along the way, or
Much time do you have?
Don, for you, man, I got all the time.
Mistakes I've made. Um,
Pick one. What comes to mind?
I would say one that comes to mind is being afraid to pony up the money to hire the right person.
Tell us more.
Getting,
I totally agree with you, by the way, in general. Tell
you
us more.
know, uh, I think I was very gun shy at the beginning, just given, family history that I had to be very careful with how we squirreled away our money or how we spent our money. I wanted to stay in business. I wanted to keep um, the momentum going. And I think maybe initially I was I was reserved in the way that I wanted to reimburse people, even myself. Okay, um, because I wanted to make sure that we were going to be back in business another day, another year. And I've learned that when we're getting ready to make a key hire, we need to educate ourselves on what the appropriate pay for a great person in that spot is, and then be ready to act on it.
Okay. You probably don't want to give me examples, but I definitely agree with this. So I mean, unless you do, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. But you're saying it's pay in general, also key hires, and even paying yourself.
For sure. I mean, the first, let me look at the stats here. I'll say in 2018, we did $3 million in revenue, and I was paying myself $40,000 a year.
Hmm.
Okay. And now obviously I'm taking money out of the business out the side, but that was in my mind anyways. I was thinking, well, if I can be conservative with the way I pay myself and others, I can always take it at the end, right? Well, you guys have really educated me that I really need to be more proactive in taking that money out along the way throughout the season, so that the company is running correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Tax law aside, which, it's more about the psychology of building an engine that works.
correct. Yeah, looking at it like if this company was not owned by me, if this company was owned by investors, how would they run it?
Yeah.
They'd be expecting to be get paid.
You brought something up I never thought about. So your dad's legacy, I always thought of, I didn't think a lot about it, but I thought, oh, it must be an advantage for Don. But what I'm hearing you say is it was also a disadvantage.
Well,
I mean, it came with some baggage.
I think it definitely came with some baggage. You have good, you have goodwill within the community. You have maybe good reputation in some ways. You have maybe a reputation you have to overcome in other ways or change. All right. A legacy that comes before you may be for one thing that wasn't necessarily what we wanted to represent ourselves as, or we wanted to represent ourselves as a different kind of company.
Yeah.
So that is what I had to swim up current against.
So that's external, but I'm also saying internally, your relationship with money is what you're telling us you had to change.
No doubt. No doubt. Mentally, I had to get over some hurdles.
Yeah. That's
But
good.
working in the peer group, I felt like, those peers keep me accountable to proper practices.
So when you set up profit sharing, which you did, 5 years ago, maybe?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So that was a bigger lift for you, is what I'm kind of understanding now.
Yeah, that was scary. The company was starting to become very successful. I was earning far beyond what I ever expected, right? I told you I was a simple man. Could have been a ski bum. And all of a sudden we're having, incredible success. And I felt really like I needed to compensate the people that had helped me get to that point. But I didn't know how. Okay. I didn't know how to do it in a way that was appropriate. At that time we were doing it very subjectively. Oh yeah, it's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? Whoever finished out the season best, you have your favorites, right? Oh, great job. I'm going to give you a bonus of, I don't know, a few $1,000s, $5,000, for example, my best crew leader. I thought that was like giving the world. I was so proud of myself. I remember. But we put a great bonus program in place with your help and with the help of the peer group and with some great people that were working here at Vidosch North at the time. Jim Lemire was our controller, and he helped us brainstorm a great discretionary bonus program, is what we call it. It's divided by a percentage of payroll, which I think is a great way to distribute money.
So,
And
what does that mean? Give an example.
So, for example, our GM might be 5% of payroll, okay? Where our typical crew leader might be 1.5%, 2%, okay?
You mean of their payroll?
Of our total company payroll.
Okay.
Okay. And so our bonus program works off of one number, net profit. That's the one number that I really wanted to focus on. And so we have a pool that's calculated based on that net profit, and that pool is distributed based on each person's percentage of payroll.
Okay.
It's caused a lot of great discussion about I should make this, I shouldn't make that, they shouldn't be making that. It really is just incredible.
I got to ask, sorry, I'm a stickler for details. So I can understand what you're saying. So if I made $100,000 round numbers, are you saying 100,000 divided by total payroll, that's my percentage of payroll?
Correct.
Okay, I got you. All right.
That's correct.
So basically it's relative to what they earn, is what you're saying.
Correct. So if our payroll's $1 million, you take home 10%.
Yeah.
Of the bonus pool.
Gotcha. Okay. I remember when you first set it up, you were very cagey,
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
And now you're just like throwing the whole thing out into the open. And clearly what you've probably recognized along the way is, I could give you the whole roadmap and you still couldn't reproduce it. So good luck.
I'd be happy to share it with people because it's a great program, and I've shared it with a number of other peers within the industry, and it's helped them to really create the same kind of positive momentum and accountability within their companies as it has in ours.
Yeah.
So, anybody who's listening, who's frustrated with the way they're, distributing bonus or compensating their employees, I'm happy to help mentor them like others have mentored me.
Yeah. I think that's really important. I've never told you this. This is like one of those shows where I'm going to tell you on live TV, something stupid, but when you first came out with it, you were like really protective. And I remember thinking to myself, it's a pretty simple system. That's not the magic sauce. The magic sauce is you and your culture and your leadership style. And so I'm really happy to see that you're just like, hey, I'm happy to share.
It is a simple system, and that was so important to us. We didn't want to make something so complicated that the team members didn't understand how they were contributing, to the data, to the numbers, or how their bonus was calculated. Yeah. It was really important to me that was clear.
So the challenge, I know, and I'm also assuming, you've had 1 good year, 2 good years, 3 good years. Does the profit sharing still motivate the way it did initially? Is it a little less, or maybe it's more because it's working? Well, how is it now compared to how it was?
I think it's working better than ever. And to be honest, it works best when the numbers are not great. Okay. And it's really critical that, when we're delivering these numbers to our team members quarterly, that we're giving them the real facts. I remember the first time we had poor results. It was a handful of years ago. We're coming out to report third quarter numbers, and our benchmark is 20% net profit. That's our goal. And we had been working our tails off. Okay. It was just a grind of a summer, and we get the results, and it's like 10%, 11%. It was not great. And everyone within the office at that time was worried to deliver that information to the team. And I said, we got to tell them the true story. I don't care what it is. We're telling them what it is. We did, and an amazing thing happened. All of a sudden, everybody rallied. Everybody said, okay, I think in my division, we can change, we can tweak the sales in this little way to try and improve the process. I think we can close this sale and improve this. I think we can save some money and not spend on this before the end of the year. So it caused so much great discussion, and I really saw everybody rally. That is the value of sharing the information with the team, is now they can get right beside you to help you fix the problem. My dad's old school way was don't tell anybody anything. Okay. And I watched that play out. I understand that was, a different generation. But I can only say that the way that we're doing it now has been really an interesting experiment, if nothing else. And I'm really proud of how it's played out.
Yeah, that's just great. I had one question I wanted to ask you. I can't remember what it was, but it'll come back. And so, so you talk quarterly. That's not that frequent. How are? Oh yeah, now I remember my question, but let me get to it in a second. So
I'll clarify while you're thinking about that.
Yeah.
We actually, in the office, we're getting weekly reports. Okay. And we're looking at things really, in the minutia monthly. But we take the full information to the team, the full team, everybody who works here, quarterly.
Got it. How do you stop cutting corners?
In what way?
How do you stop? Well, yeah. How do you stop your team, the frontline gal or guy, or, I'm going to tell you, because my first, I've been through a few contractors here in New Orleans, and my first one, man, they're always cutting corners in some way I could never understand, and then I realized, they do profit sharing, and I'm assuming it's the culture of the owner to like press the employee to, cut corners. I'm assuming it's top down, but how do you stop that message from, how do you stop your employees from getting the wrong message?
Well, I think you got to talk about it and educate everybody. We can cut corners today, but that's going to be cutting our clients of tomorrow. Okay. When that project, that we've cut corners on, which now has got our name on it and everybody's driving by, people notice that. We put a job sign on these sites. So if we're cutting corners, for sure, from a quality standpoint, our clients are going to know, their friends are obviously going to know. So we do a lot of things to talk to the team about, we have to have the quality. The quality has to be in the forefront.
Yep.
Can't have great results, high profit without high quality. You can, but it's not going to last very long.
Let me ask you let's quantify this. This is going to be a great question here. So give me the ratio of how much you talk about the profit and how much you talk about quality. If I could measure and graph.
I would say 2-to-1 profit to quality. 2-to-1.
2-to-1. So
yeah, should be probably 1-to-1.
I don't know. I thought you were going to say something like 1-to-1, but so you think it's 2-to-1. So how does that explain?
Well, we're talking about quality all the time. Weekly, we're looking at certainly production, job hours, production hours. How have we performed in a weekly basis? Yeah. So we're always talking about the quality of the projects within each division in the production meetings.
So you, when you say 2-to-1 and when you say profit, you also just mean efficiency and meeting the hours and production.
And the quality of the project. We're talking about that every week in the production meetings.
But you're saying you talk about the numbers 2 to quality 1, which, I mean,
maybe it's 1-to-1. I could be wrong, because now that you bring it up, we might talk about quality maybe more than the numbers, because we're looking at the dollar numbers quarterly, and we're talking about the quality numbers weekly.
Yeah. Do you have a quality metric, or is it more of do the right thing?
Well, certainly it's production hours, and then it's go backs, right? Warranty work. How much warranty work are we doing?
Gotcha.
And why?
Yeah. Right.
And we're talking about that in those production meetings. How did we make this mistake? How can we fix it in the future? There's a lot of people that contribute to a mistake within any type of production business, right?
Yeah.
You got a salesperson who sold the job. You got a production manager who's managing the production, and then you got field people who are producing it, right? So there's a lot of chinks in the armor there that can drop the ball and lead to a bad experience for a client. We talk about that a lot, and that's usually not one of those people that drop the ball. It's usually a combination of. But we're always talking about how do we get here and how can we make it better.
I think that's important. I think that's true. When you hear about things like the shuttle disaster or these big disasters, it's never one person made a mistake. It's like, man, these 3 or 4 screw ups all happened in a chain reaction. And I think that's good. So you're not finger pointing, you're really diagnosing.
And that's one of the things about the bonus program too. When there's a mistake made, when there's a warranty, we're going back for warranty, everybody knows that's affecting their bonus. Okay. And the bonus here is real dollars. Last year, we distributed somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000 back to our team members.
Nice.
In that bonus program. I'm really proud of that.
I bet.
That's life-changing money for some of these people.
Nice.
I'll be honest, where it really ticked up within the bonus program was for the field staff. That's what was amazing.
Oh, tell me. I wouldn't have thought that.
When you go by percentage of payroll, in the past, again, I might have given that great crew leader or division manager that I had at the time $5,000, $10,000 bonus. Great job. I really appreciate it. I don't know why I'm giving you this, but this seems appropriate, so here you go. But the few people would get, I don't know, $500, $1,000, something like that. Again, subjective.
Yeah.
Well, when you do by percentage of payroll, the bottom of the chain really increases.
They get more.
They get far more, as they should. Without them, we're nothing.
So in a way, it's equality, but equality doesn't mean equal. It just means each, it's your version of equality. That's really good.
Yeah.
And it impacts them even more. Back to this whole thing about quality. When I first started working for my dad, after high school and college, like you, I grew up in the business. Our dinner table was like our little business school because every night we talked about, not P&Ls, but we talked about the work, the clients a lot. And when I started working for him later on in life, I said, tell me how did we get to this level of success? Like, what did you do? And he gave me such a simple answer. I couldn't believe it. And, in hindsight, it blew me away. And he said, well, we fixed our mistakes. And I'm like, yeah, okay, what else? What else? He's like, no, I think that's it.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away at how simple it is to get ahead of the competition. And then he went on to talk about the competition and how they try to put things under the rug and ignore the mistakes. And then he went on to tell me how when we made some big screw ups that were very expensive, we still fixed them. And it really resonated with me, and it really has stuck with me my whole life. And it sounds like you're saying the same thing, that you guys really focus on that level of quality, fixing any mistake.
Yeah, my name's on it. I feel obligated, to deliver a great product, something I'm proud of. Okay. And if I'm proud of it, I feel really confident that our clients are going to feel very proud to bring their friends out in the backyard and enjoy fire pit or whatever it might be. I also think that, it's easy to hide from your weaknesses, right? And, as a younger man, my weakness was the financials and the numbers. And a number of people in the peer group really pressed me on it and said, you got to improve here if you want to excel. And Sean Baxter, Martin Silverman, these guys in the peer group they really pushed me, made me accountable to those things, and I'm really thankful for it. I'm not going to say that I'm, a data analyst by any means, but certainly I'm aware, of those critical numbers within the business, and very thankful that they pushed me on it.
We had a very fruitful discussion here based on one mistake. Is there a second mistake you want to talk about?
Second mistake, I have been thinking about this. I'm sure there's lots of other peers within the industry, listening. Something early on that I realized was that I had to get out of the field if I wanted to grow my business. Okay. I think, again, it's easy as a landscape owner operator to be in the field. It's exciting. It's fun. You see your progress every single day. It's probably your strength, right? Um, Whereas the office is something that I think a lot of people within the industry kind of want to hide from. Maybe not at our scale, but at the average scale, it's easy to hide in the field from your weaknesses. And I learned early on that if I was going to grow this company, I had to get out of the field and focus on sales, focus on managing the business, and making sure our clients were having a great experience.
Interesting way to frame that you hide from your weaknesses in the field, which is in your comfort zone. Interesting.
For sure.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. So I'm talking with my therapist last week, and I told her I've really been struggling, lately thinking about the vision of what the future of our company is. I've been, the company has needed me to be more in the office as the visionary and really focusing on keeping everybody on task towards our vision. And I said, I just kind of miss the field and being with those guys. It's something that I love it. And she said, it's probably because you love the dopamine rush of being in the field. And it's just like blew my mind because it's true. When you're in the field in this business, there's a lot of successes, right? You finish a project. Oh, feels good. You make a sale out there in the field. Oh, feels good. You fix a problem. Feels great. And there was a lot of that. And I'm finding that I need to have a little bit longer term return expectation for those successes now, as I pull out fully of the operations of the business and focus on being the visionary.
Is there dopamine rushes fly fishing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, most definitely. You make a great cast. There's so many, countless, countless. That's probably why I love it too.
Snowboarding, they're nonstop.
Yes.
Until you crash, and then there's a little pause. All right, so fly fishing there is interesting. Sorry, sidebar on that. But do you want to talk about your personal life at all?
Sure. Maybe it was probably almost 2 years ago now. I got divorced, and that was a really, really tough hurdle for me to overcome. Luckily, thank you, I have been preparing my business in a way that I would have more personal time. Okay. If I had not been preparing in that way, I think that event would have crushed me, maybe put me out of business. Maybe not, because it was kind of coming out of the wake of COVID. And if anybody in the landscape industry went out of business in the wake of COVID, then I don't know what they were doing wrong. But I had been preparing my business in a lot of ways to focus more and spend more time with my family and with my kids. And thank God I had, because I was really able to step away to some degree and really focus on being right there for them and finding a new path for and with them. And I think it's gone well. I'm really thankful that I was in the peer group, and that I had the support of all of them and all of you. And was able to get past that hurdle because it was really tough. And I should say I'm also very thankful for all of my team members here at Vidosch North who were so supportive of me.
Yeah.
And knowing what I needed at that time.
Yeah. So you were pretty open with them?
Absolutely. Pretty open guy.
Yeah. And I'm sure they rallied around you.
Pardon? They did. Yeah. And then, that's just the way that we are here. We're all, I think, in tune with each other's needs more so than anywhere else I've ever worked. And we've had team members whose husbands passed or went through divorces or whatever. And, I'm really proud of the team we have here because they're really in tune with that and always ready to step up and help somebody. And I really appreciate that.
Let's maybe wrap up here by talking about your favorite hobbies now. I know you love fly fishing and hunting, and I think you spend quite a bit of time doing that.
I do. Yeah, same. Again, been working here the last handful of years trying to create, a better life balance. And this year I was able to take almost 3 weeks off to fish. A lot of that with my kids. I was able to hunt this fall on and off almost 4 weeks. And, those times are really important for me. Those are times when I'm able to clear my mind, get rid of the trash in my head. When I do those things, it's a pretty solitary pursuit usually. I might be with one person or mostly by myself. And it gives me a lot of time to reflect, think about, what's going well in my life, what's not, what's going well in my business, what's not. And I think a lot of people might look at it and say, well, that's a waste of time. Why are you doing that? But for me, it's very meditative, and it's a great time for reflection.
I think that says a lot, and maybe says the most out of what you've built, that you can leave for a length of time where you probably can't be easily found during the season. I think that really speaks to the fruit of just the quality of team you've built and the culture and the great systems. And, it really says quite a bit.
For a number of years, it was kind of terrifying. To be honest, I was really scared, right? Because, again, it's my name on the door. It's my name out there on the projects, and I was really scared. But we have invested in some great people here, some great team members, and to be able to go away and come back and see that they've really picked up the ball and ran with it, it's extremely fulfilling, and I'm just thankful.
Do you want to leave the audience with a final piece of advice?
I do. Because I have this platform, I want to actually, if you don't mind, thank a few people who've really mentored me along the way. There's two people here in my local market, competitors of mine when I started my business, who really helped me out. That was Tom Hoffman and Richard Hoffman. These are elder gentlemen. They didn't have to help me. They taught me a lot about horticulture and plant material, and those guys were so forthcoming with their advice, and really wanted me to succeed, and I'm so thankful for them. My father, obviously, Gal Litzenberger, another local legend in the landscape industry. Mike Boyd, great friend of mine. Frank Mariani, who you know. I would say Frank has become a friend, and I can call him if I have any questions, and he's the GOAT. And I'm so thankful that I can call him and ask him a question. He picks up the phone. He's a great man, and I really respect him. And you, Jeffrey, I want to thank you last because, again, there's a lot of things along the way that just transformed my life and my business. And I really appreciate, what you and the peer group, your peer group that I participate in, how you guys have helped me.
Well, that means a lot, man. I really appreciate that. You've been through a lot. I remember when you're getting divorced, I was like, no, say it ain't so. And
yeah,
You just, you you did it with class and style and embracing your kids, and as you're doing that, you've become the great example that I look up to, and I know others look up to on how to live life, run a business, and how to raise kids.
I appreciate that. We're
That's
all
your
just trying to get through it, right?
Well, that's your ultimate legacy, Matt. So I appreciate you giving the shout out, but really, I think it's your kids that your company and your kids that are the ultimate recipients of your legacy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Something
Right.
else I think about a lot is it's just constant, never ending improvement, right? We just got to come in here every day and try and get better. That was a big thing in team sports. And we talked about that. That was one of my high school coaches talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
Let's show up. Let's get better today. It's amazing how much progress you can make if just a little bit at a time.
Oh my God. I watched the TV show last night, Make Believe, and the guy was winning some award for sports. And that's what he was saying. Let's get better today. So
If you come in with that mindset, how can you lose, right?
love it. Let's leave it there. And, we'll have you back for the next, we'll have you back in the future for 2.0 or 3.0. Thanks for being with us today, Donn.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.